to my channel. This is Erica from Confessions of a Homeschooler, and I have had so many requests to do a thread catcher tutorial for you, so that is what we're going to be doing today. I have had written instructions for this project on my blog for years, but I've had a lot of requests for a video, and I thought it would be a fun and easy one to put together. So this project is definitely beginner friendly. You can make it in under an hour. It's super easy and it doesn't require very many supplies. Let's go ahead and take a look at everything we need to make this project. Supplies for this project are super simple. You're going to need some fusible fleece, and I just have a couple different sizes here. You're going to need some fabric for your strap, some fabric for your pincushion, some outside fabric, some lining fabric, and then you can use rice, or I like to use these walnut shells because it doesn't dull your needles as much, but you can use anything you want to fill your pincushion, and then of course some regular sewing supplies. I've got my rotary trimmer, my ruler, and then you'll also need some kind of stabilizer for the edge of your bag, and this is just some cotton webbing. It just helps give it a little bit more shape around the outside. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and start by preparing our fusible fleecing. And you can skip this step if you're using a heavier duty fabric. My fabric is super kind of light and thin, and so I just want to give it a little bit more structure. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our fusible batting here, and one side is bumpy and the other side is smooth. The bumpy side is the side with the adhesive on it, and so you're going to want to take that and just place it right side down on one of the edges of your strap, and with 1/4 inch around the outside edges here. And we're going to press that down. We're going to do the same thing with the fusible fleece for the pin cushion, and then we're going to do the same thing. So let's get these guys set over here, and then we're going to do the same thing for the fabric. And so this one I just have my bumpy side facing up, and I'm just going to lay my fabric on top, and then you're just going to follow the instructions that come on your fusible fleece to adhere that to your fabric. And normally that's just a hot iron, and you just press it and leave it about 10 seconds, move it, 10 seconds, move it. A lot of times I will say no steam, so just follow the instructions that come on your fusible batting. And just to be clear, you're going to attach the fusible fleece to the wrong side of your fabric. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will meet you right back here. Okay, so here's all my pieces, and I've just attached my fusible fleece to the back side of them, so they are ready to go. I'm going to just push the outside of the bag out of the way for right now. We're going to work with our strap and our pillow. So the first thing we're going to do is take our strap fabric, and we're just going to fold it right sides together. So we're just going to sew right down this side, and then just in slightly on the corners here. Leave about a 1 inch gap so we can flip this piece right side out. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so here we are, and now we're just going to turn this right side out, and just be careful. Your hole isn't very big on this one, so just take your time. And I just like to use one of these Hera markers, super handy. These are by Clover, I'll link it below. And then I just use that to kind of push along my seams and push out my corners. Okay. All right, so once this piece is all nice and straightened out, I'm going to take it over to the ironing board and just press it. And then just for decoration's sake, I'm actually going to run a stitch down both of these sides. Don't worry about these ends because those are going to get covered when we attach it to our bag and to our pillow. So just up and down the sides. You can totally skip this step if you want. I just think it just kind of makes it look a little more finished. Okay, this piece is finished. I don't know if you can even see it because I just used white thread, but I just did 1/4 inch top stitch just to kind of give it a little bit of a finish. Now we're going to take our pillow and we're going to fold it in half, right sides together, and just kind of mark that. And then we're going to open it back up, and we're going to center this halfway between my mark, which was right here, and this edge over here, and we're just going to line up one of the edges. I'm lining up the open edge with the top of the pillow here. Okay, and then we're going to kind of fold this up just so that it stays out of the way. And now would be a good time to get out your handy pins and just kind of pin it in place. That way this bottom edge is out of your way, but it won't move around on you. And then we're going to take this and fold it in half like it was before, and we're just going to run a stitch all the way down this edge. Make sure that you get your little handle in there, and then down a little ways, stop, Give yourself again about a 1.5 or so inch opening here. Start back up here and go up this edge, and then we're gonna flip this whole thing right side out. Okay, so here we are. And now we're going to flip this pillow right side out. And again, just be careful and take your time. And then again, I'm just gonna take my little tool here. I'll just push out my corners. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna take this over to my ironing board and just press in these open edges 1/4 inch. They should kind of naturally fold in that way as well, but that'll just give it a nice kind of finished look when we go to sew it together. All right, so I just pressed this opening together. We're not gonna sew it together yet, so just leave that. Next, we're gonna go ahead and grab the outside of our bag and the lining piece, and we're going to layer these. And so how we're gonna do this is place the lining right side up, and then we're gonna place the pincushion holder on top of that, approximately 3 inches in from this edge over here. So, and this doesn't have to be precise. You basically just want it so your pillow isn't in the way of this seam right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little pin right there so that our pocket doesn't move around on us. Then we're gonna take the lining, or the outside of our bag, we're gonna place that right side down on top of all of that. And your lining will be longer than the outside of your bag, so don't worry about that. That is correct. We're gonna take this to the machine and just run 1/4 inch stitch all the way down this edge. Just make sure that you're securing the lining, your little strap here, and the outside of your bag. Okay, so here we are. It should be looking something like this. And I just took this over to the ironing board and just pressed this open really quickly. And I just pressed it towards the lining. We're just gonna flip this over right side down and just make sure your pincushion is kind of going that way. And we're gonna take our cotton webbing right here and just slide it kind of right under that seam. Just take a pin and we're just gonna pin it in place. And make sure your pins are in from your edge out here. We're gonna sew right along here, so you just want it to keep it in place but not go over your pins. And I'll probably just put one in the middle here. Okay. And then we're gonna take this whole thing and we're gonna fold it in half this way. Okay, and just kind of straighten out that pocket, or pillow. Why do I keep calling it a pocket? We don't know. Okay, and then you're just gonna line up your edges here, and this is a great place to use these Wonder clips, and just pin everything in place. Just make sure all your edges are nice and lined up. Okay, and then what we're going to do is take this over to the sewing machine and we're gonna sew all the way down this side along the top edge, making sure to get your straps. Keep going, make sure your pillow is out of the way. Mine is like right here, so I'm good. All the way down to about here. Leave about, I don't know, what is that, 2 or almost 3 inch opening down here at the bottom, and then sew this little section right here. And then this is what we're gonna use to flip it right side out. So just make sure you leave a nice opening for yourself right here. Okay, so here we go. I went ahead and removed my pins that were holding my strapping in place. And then the next thing that we want to do is box our bottoms, and this is super easy. We're gonna do the same thing to all 4 corners. So I'm gonna go ahead and all the way down inside my lining. And since this is a small piece, I've got one finger here and my thumb is in here. And I'm just going to pinch them together. So it kind of looks like that. And then I'm just going to straighten everything out here. All right, and so you want it so that it looks like a nice kind of pointed edge here, and when you fold it open, it kind of looks like a diamond. And just try and make sure it's nice and straight. And then we're gonna take our ruler here, and I'm going to place the 90-degree, there we go, 90-degree angle on the edge of my fabric, and I'm gonna go about 1.5 inches down. So here's my 1.5 inch marker, and this line is just on my seam here. And I'm just going to draw a line across there. And I'll put a pin in there just to kind of hold it in place. Okay, and then we're gonna do the same thing to this other corner. And whatever size you choose on one corner, do that on all four corners of the outside and of the lining. Okay, I'm just gonna put a pin there, and we can move those out of the way. Now we're gonna do the same thing to the lining. And this one's just a little bit more difficult because you've got this hole here. But essentially you're doing the exact same thing. So just poke your finger down here in this hole and just make sure it's nice and straight. And throw a pin in there. And then do the same thing to the other corner. Okay, so we're going to sew right along this line, and then we're going to cut it off about a 1/2 inch away from our stitch line, and we're going to do that to all four corners. Okay, so our project should be looking something like this now. We've got our boxed bottoms. We're gonna go ahead and turn our whole project right side out. Now, before you do that, I think it's easiest actually, we don't want this sliding down or getting twisted, which it can do when we start to change things inside out. So I'm actually going to take a pin and I'm going to go inside here with my pin and just kind of find the halfway marker and go ahead and just pin that in place. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just gonna kind of hold that in place so that when we turn this right side out, this doesn't move around on us. So we're gonna go ahead now and grab the far end down there and just turn carefully. Okay. Should be looking something like this. Just feel in there, make sure your strap isn't twisted or anything. Hopefully that pin will hold it in place, and then it's also sewn right here on this seam. And you can just poke out your boxy bottoms here. Okay, we're almost done. The next step is to take this over to our sewing machine and just close up our lining hole. Now I like to go to my iron and just press this in 1/4 inch all the way around the edge here. And sometimes I even finger press it. You can put a few pins there, and I'm just gonna run a stitch right down this edge to close up this opening. Okay, I've closed up my opening now, so we're good there. Just make sure you get it all nice and closed. And then we're gonna tuck our lining inside, and the lining is actually gonna be showing a little bit here. So I just kind of grab onto that strap there and just kind of use that as my guide. And then you should also have your pin right here, kind of holding it in place as well. Okay. And once that's all nice and tucked down inside there, I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and I'm actually going to run a top stitch just right along the edge of it. Not only does it help give a more finished look, but it also helps hold this strapping in place, and then you can take your pin out. Okay, you guys, we are almost done. Your project should be looking like this. You can tuck everything secure inside, and then the next thing we're going to do is just fill our little pillow here with our walnut shavings, or you can use rice or whatever, and then we're just going to fold those edges in, and we're just going to do a top stitch all the way around just to give it a finished look and obviously close up this opening. And let's see if I can do this without spilling walnut shells everywhere. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it about that full. That way I can have plenty of room for them to move around and I can get all the way around the edges of this. Like I said, we're gonna sew a top stitch all the way around the edges to close this opening and finish it off, and we'll be done with our project. Alright guys, and here you have it. We're all done. We've got our beads all sealed in here, and yeah, ready to go. Ready for scraps, ready for sewing, whatever you want to do. Super easy and fun project. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. All right guys, so that is it. That's the thread catcher. That's all there is to it. It's super cute and easy. You can customize it to match your sewing room. You can make them as gifts for sewers in your life. And yeah, I think these are just super cute and fun projects. I hope you enjoyed this project. Like I mentioned, the cutting instructions will be in the PDF link below. So just click the little show more link right below this video and you'll be able to download the PDF for all of the sizes and everything and all of the supplies that I used for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. That way I know to keep making more tutorials like this for you guys. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.